Hello, hello, hello. This is AJT500 slash Talented Track 98 slash Hello East Wonderwise slash Hilo, and this is the post Guild War Ramble for Wind Guild War 2024. Pretty much this is a follow up to the pre Guild War Ramble, which is like a duo video series, I guess, slash live stream series that I've been doing, where pretty much the first one shows what's gonna I potentially think is gonna be good for the Guild War, and then the second one, which is this one, is gonna be what I actually used in the Guild War. The first thing I usually do whenever I start out these videos is I go over like my ranking and how I did and stuff like that. So let's go ahead and look at the page. We got the final rally. I got a Sunstone again this time. Really cool. This is my final score right here. This was my final score right here. And then this was the ending for Squad. We did pretty good this time too. So yeah, those were the rankings. It was a pretty smooth Guild War overall, to be honest, at least for me. I didn't really struggle with a lot of stuff, and I got really far ahead of 90k, and we had a pretty decent final round. Oh yeah, that's another thing I should look at, is this. We did a we had a pretty decent final round in the sense that we got Shiki and Clap, so I didn't really have to do anything, so I just farmed 90 for that last day. So yeah, my honors my honors were baby on that day because all I did was 90 and I didn't even do it all night. So yeah, but yeah, so that was the the rankings and stuff for this Guild War. So overall, again, pretty standard Guild War for me, I would say. Um, okay, so now what I always do after that is I go over my setups. So one thing I will say is I don't really have a technically I have a 100 and a 150 setup, but I have one extra 100 setup that I use for like 3 runs. Like late at night when I found out about it. I do have a video for that, but mostly I use the same setup for 100 and 150, and I used like I don't know. I used some basic stuff for 200 just to unlock 250, and then I never did 200 again. So yeah, I don't have a 200 setup to really show, but I'll show the rest of them. So let us swap to video. So EX Plus first, right here. I'll play some sound. Uh, okay. So EX Plus here was pretty good actually. I had been planning like a gun setup for EX Plus. Like I was just gonna do like the Galleon S1 into taking the gun move that empties all your bullets. But then this setup came out from Hoshimiya like right as Guild War was happening with the new CCW axe, and I used this because it was 0 buttons, and it killed really fast. And it kills, yeah, it's just really good. It was very good. So I'm glad I stocked up on mats for the CCW axe like beforehand. Just in case I might need either that or the Street King thing, and I'm glad I did because yeah. And then I'm gonna show off that setup here. It was this here. It was very nice. Also, this sword came in clutch. But granted, you could have just used like Clam or King Siete or something. But you had a celestial sword that you could dual wield, which is kind of cool. Because that's wind. And then this was here. Also, Summer Bubs was really freaking good for this as well. Yeah. So I think next I just go straight into 90. I recorded like all this stuff with the intent of it being recorded. This Nightmare 90 here was just a 2-button Spartan setup, and this kind of we'll go over this once I see the actual setup. But I got a lot of help from the chat room to avoid using 1 stone on my Summer Tiamat for this setup. So yeah, that was pretty good. We finally got this working. But yeah, this was I actually probably used this setup more than any other setup the entire Guild War, because again I came back and did a lot of 90 on the last day um for Celestials. So that was just another thing we were doing. But this was also very good. Also, double Kaguya. No one wants to do double Kaguya. Everybody wants to use one less button to get 10 less Celestials. But not me. Double Kaguya over here in these streets. But yeah, so this was the grid. Chat room helped me a lot with getting cheeky. This spear and this spear, because the goal was we were trying to get Anila to guarantee triple attack, which is what was needed, and we needed to do that without using Summer Tiamat because I didn't want to stone her. While also having enough damage to actually beat the boss with double Kaguya. So chat also reminded me that Kaguya has multi-attack rate on her. So double Kaguya gave me like 50% extra TA, which was nice. Then this is the 100, and the 150 setup here. This was what I use for both of them for the most part. I do have another setup that I'm going to show afterwards that I showed for 100, but pretty much I did this. I did this setup for the entirety of 100 minus like maybe an hour, and then I found another setup that worked well for 100. But then the next day it didn't work for 150, so I just ended up going back to this for 150. Because this worked consistently and I just didn't want to do anything else. And at the moment, or at the time, should I say, at the time, pretty much the best thing that you could run for 100 and 150, besides something like this, was a Swan Vane Axe setup. And I was also very against borrowing my Swan, so I just stuck with this because it worked. It worked fine. This also, if I had put in, instead of, at least for 100, if I put in Noire under the buffs, this actually could kill in 2 turns instead of Neo. But the buffs weren't always up, and this is 150 anyway, so it didn't matter. So I ended up going with Neo because Noire's I think it's her S3, whichever one's her yellow skill. That thing has such a long animation that it gave like an extra second over using Neo, and it didn't kill any faster. So yeah, that's what I ended up doing. But that was the 150, and then we'll show the damage here. And then I think after this, I'll show the 100 that I used for like an hour. Well, no, wait, hold on, the setup. Gotta show the setup first. Also, this setup here, this was kind of like, I kind of went between like this katana, and I went between like the celestial sword, and I went between like a Grimnir Spear, all because I didn't want to borrow a second one of these or a Noire sword. So I just had like a random weapon here, but it worked fine, so I was okay with that personally. Summon's pretty standard, to be honest. But yeah, so that was 100, 150. Then this was the 100. Also, I'm sorry about the change in like resolution because I forgot to make I forgot to make it bigger when I did it. And the thing about this setup is this setup used the Fa 0 key, the skill damage key. So pretty much this was the only recording of it I had, and once I got off of that key, I wasn't putting it back on just to record one run. So this is just what we're gonna deal with. But yeah, this setup was pretty much the counter, quote unquote, to the Vane Axe setups that you could use on 100, but this fell off in 150, so it didn't work out there. But this was pretty fast. I would have, if I had known about this faster, I would have used it in 100, but it was pretty quick. It was pretty quick. And then 250. I'm not gonna sit through all this. I will say though, my 250 did go through a bit of a change. When I first started, it was Charlotta, Kaguya, Catura, and then people started bringing out Katz, and I used Katz also because Katz. To be fair with Kaguya though, Kaguya could also full auto like fully without me actually looking at the boss, but Katz was just like a minute faster than Kaguya, so that's why I ended up going with Katz. Again, I'm not gonna sit through this though, but I'll just speed through it real quick. But yeah, it was just Ogi. It's like a repeat of Cheeking. It's a repeat of Earth, dude. it's just Ogi spam, Ogi spam, Ogi spam, Ogi spam, Ogi spam, Ogi spam for like this is like 7 minutes, I think, with refreshes, and then it's like 15 minutes or something if I don't refresh at all and don't look at it. So yeah, 721. I used this for like the one day that I did 250. But yeah, so those were the setups. So with the setups and with the rankings and all that stuff out of the way, now we can get to the tier list. And chill on me for this tier list, by the way. Chill on me. Let me explain myself. But this is going to be a doozy. This is going to be a doozy. Alright, so let's get into that. Okay, so this is my tier list. Let me explain. Well, let me explain. I can explain. So as per usual, first of all, this tier list is made by GameWith, by the way. I'll post it in the description so you can make your own if you like. But as per usual, um, this tier list is catered specifically to me and to what I use in my Guild Wars setup, as opposed to necessarily what is good. I will go over different things. I will go over different things that I know were good and people use, but I did not use, or that I did not see as high priority as other people. But again, this is very catered to my Guild War experience, not necessarily the strength of these characters' summons weapons, right? So let's go ahead and start. We'll start from the top going down, right? Because I think we got some explaining to do. So first of all, the only two SS characters for me, it's very weird. Wind is very weird to me because Wind, I feel like, does not have a ton of characters that are like you use them for everything. Like I'm thinking back to like Earth Guild War with Raziel, where Raziel I used her in EX plus, I used her in 90, I used her in 100, 150, 200. You probably could have used her in 250 too. But there wasn't really a character like that in Wind Guild War. I feel like there was no character that I used more than 2 times per anything. I could have if I had used different setups, but I didn't, and I didn't need to. So it's kind of weird to play some of these characters because I can't really say like, oh, like I know for example, a lot of people are gonna have Summer Galleon in SS, but when you look at my setups, the only thing I used Summer Galleon for was EX Plus and Nightmare 90, which are the two easiest floors. So it's very weird, and I feel like almost you could have potentially found another way around not using her in those setups. But I digress. So pretty much I have Charlotta and Catura in SS because I think both of them were very strong in the highest level floor, which was 250. And I think a lot of people consistently had these two characters, whereas that third slot was kind of up for debate. But these two characters were very strong and very prolific and very prevalent. Charlotta specifically, because Charlotta not only feeds into your Ogi team strat, but she feeds into your Ogi team strat, but she also dispels a lot, especially once you get past turn 10. She dispels a lot, which helps with getting rid of all the buffs on the boss, right? Um then Katura was also helpful because Katura not only plays into that same thing, she also heals, which does a lot to keep you sustained and alive. She also gives a cheeking clear to her in the MC, which also helped because sometimes that dude would give you like a shadowed effect if you weren't running like Kaguya. So she could help clear that as well to keep everything going. So Katura was also just really cheeking good. Like these two characters were just really good in that level. I didn't use them for anything else except 250, but they were very good in 250. Um, Moving on from them, Kaguya, drop rate. Drop rate. You want Celestials? Drop rate. Okay, there you go. Summer Belial, still very good just for the counters. Summer Bubs actually popped off quite a bit, I feel. That extra 2k or 2 mil damage is unironically goated. That extra 2 mil damage just coming in, yeah, slap him at the end, pretty good. Pretty good, unironically. I expect to see more and more use of Summer Bubs for these low button setups for things like EX Plus and 90 going forward, because that extra little bit of damage is very good for these higher HP bars now. 000, good as well. 000 as a main summon, good. 000 as a call summon was good. 000 played into a lot with the 250 comps and also with like the 100 and 150 comps to help you Ogi so that you could get the Belial key, the double strike key. Also, the other side, the false side of it, also helped with dispelling a ton of buffs because the guy would put up a lot of buffs. So yeah, also just very good summon. Very good summon for this Guild War. Also, it just buffs damage as well. Also very good. Clam, pretty much one of your best defensive HP options while also giving damage. Unironically, very freaking good. I think Wind is like, I said this before in the pre-Guild War Ramble, but Wind unironically probably has the easiest resonator nowadays, because nowadays if you just make a grid, you can fit its requirements, which means you can put as few or as many as you want in the grid, and they just kind of work. And it's very nice. It's very nice to be able to do that without any real restrictions. So Clam, really good weapon. PNS, pretty good, fell off in like 250, and I didn't use it in EX Plus either, but PNS is still PNS. Supplemental damage, still good. Sete's good. Sete's good. Sete's actually, you see at the bottom in the B tier, it actually at the last minute, because I had farmed Tiamat guns for whatchamacallit, for EX Plus, but in the end, with that Viking setup, I didn't even need them in the end. So it was like that's good. That's very good. And then, and last but not least, the Viking axe coming in clutch for EX Plus, going from having to do 2 buttons on EX Plus to doing 0. Very good. I don't think at this point I can live doing EX Plus with pressing a button. I don't think I can take it anymore. I think just every EX Plus so far or going forward has to be 0 button, or else I can't stand it, bro. So very good. SS for me. Now we get into the mess that is S plus. Okay, so I did have to make a cut there because I realized that I didn't have that Proving Ground Harp on here, but that's now on here. That's now on here. So anyway, getting to S plus. First of all, Galleon. Galleon, do not get me wrong, this character is very strong. Her S1 is very strong. She works extremely well with the dispel Swan setups, but I didn't use that crap. I didn't use Swan. I didn't do any of that dispel stuff except for that 100 that you saw. I didn't do like any of the skill damage stuff. She literally, for me, only got used in EX Plus and 90, and she didn't press a single button. She was just there to auto attack and nuke after the turn. That was it. That's all that character did for me the entire Guild War. So for me, I cannot put her in SS tier for me personally, because that's all she was there for. Good character. Again, this does not dictate how good they are overall, but this is just for me personally in this Guild War. She's like S plus. Vampy, kind of the same thing. Vampy is still incredibly cheeking strong, but the only time I used Vampy was for 100 and 150. Granted, she was very good in those, but that's the only place where I used her. That was it. Neo, same thing. literally carbon copy of Vampy. Everything I just said, same thing. Estriola, good. I got to use Estriola in EX Plus and that 100. Also, his passive to help with the charge bar when you're OGing, also very good. But he doesn't really do a lot. you know, he has a lot of nukes like an EX plus, which is good. He has nukes and dispels for the 100 setups. Again, this is not, you know, say how good or bad the character is overall. If you were using like Swan stuff, this dude is probably SS, but I didn't use that stuff, so S plus. Katz and Kaguya. I feel like I have to talk about them at the same time. That's why I put them next to each other. Katz and Kaguya, literally interchangeable. Literally interchangeable. Well, okay. Katz gets a little bit of an edge. Katz gets a little bit of an edge. Honestly, Katz, I would argue, could also go into SS tier purely because his passive with Summer Belial does buff your damage a lot. It does buff your damage a lot. And if you use like any of the Lich comps, Lich putting debuffs on everybody also triggers Kat's thing. So honestly, Kat's probably should have been an SS, but you know, let him leak. Let him leak. But anyway, what I'm thinking about though with him versus Kaguya is him versus Kaguya in 250 for me was extremely interchangeable. Nothing really changed except Katz made me go up 1 minute faster. He made me go up 1 minute faster. That was like it. Nothing really changed for the 250 for me with either one of those characters. I really could have used either. The only other thing that makes Katz better over Kaguya 2 is I didn't technically have to press a button. Whereas Kaguya, I had to manual S1 onto MC every time, and sometimes I'd be forgetting that joint. So, yeah, Katz, Kaguya, very interchangeable, but Katz definitely gets ahead for other reasons. Honestly, Katz probably should have been SS, but I don't feel like making this cheeking screenshot again. So let him leak. Grimnir, Valentine's Grimnir was good for EX Plus and 90. Pretty much Grimnir and Galleon are the exact same thing as well. Grimnir and Galleon are the exact same thing as well. They serve pretty much the exact same purpose. The exact same purpose for me. Seruel, he gave a veil. he gave a veil backline, so I didn't have to stow Summer Tiamat, which was good. Thank you, Seruel. Anila, she was there for the echo. She didn't press a single button. She was there for the echo, and when she had guaranteed triple attacks, she was a good auto attacker, pretty much the exact same as seeking Vane, or not Vane, Grimnir and Galleon. Pretty much the exact same thing. That trio was like together. Narmaya, I used her for 100 and 150. She's Narmaya. She's with Narmaya. She does a lot of healing damage. But that was the only place I used her. We did see that she could potentially swap out for Anila in my 90. But at that point, I had already got my Anila teaking settled. So I let her leak there. Enyo and Lich, they were only used for that 100 setup. They were very good. They were very good in that 100 setup, but that was the only place I used them. And again, I only used that setup for like an hour. So yeah. Exalto, technically, I used it for, what was it, 100, 150. So it was good. It was good. It wasn't crazy, but it was okay. It was okay. No EX plus, no 90, no 250. But otherwise, it was kind of okay. It was all right. Grimnir Spear was a good weapon to throw in for some extra attack, assuming I wasn't cutting my HP. Honestly, it probably would have been SS if wind wasn't like so enmity based when it comes to like bursting. It would have probably been higher. On the opposite side of the spectrum, taking Sho Fist was good. I had a single one. One little Sho Fist I used, which helped my damage when I was doing the enmity burst stuff. Celestial Sword and Celestial Spear. Celestial Sword was for the EX+. The Spear was to help Anila have guaranteed triple attack. So, good. Rosetta Dagger, the only place I used it personally was for the mash and comp with Enyo and Lich. Also, by the way, I still have the game up. I just realized I never showed off my 250 setup. I never showed off my 250 setup. Okay, here. Because I was trying to think if that dagger was in here. This is what I use for 250, by the way. It was nothing crazy. It literally just worked, and I ran with it. It worked, and I ran with it. So there you go. There's 250. I'll make a little mid addendum for that. Anyway, going back to my picture. This thing, I don't even know what this Seeking called, but this thing gives Seeking buff damage for like 8 turns or whatever. This was kind of nice to have. I'm not gonna lie. That was nice to have for 90. And then lastly, this Proving Ground Harp. Dudes were Seeking fiending over this. I saw one dude Seeking bar this join on Seeking Twitter. It's like the premier thing for Rising Force. For Rising Force, Seeking burst for 250. This Proving Grounds Harp is still god tier. So yeah, but that was the only place I used it. That was the only place I used it. So yeah, and I mean at the end of the day, it gave like some charge bar. That was kind of it. Celestial Katana I used for my 100 150. Honestly, could be interchangeable with a lot of different weapons, but I put it on the list. This Cosmos, or not Cosmos Harp, this Zoe Harp, is supposed to be the Wind World Harp. I didn't see it on Game List. For some reason, they like never have the World Harps. But this was the Wind World Harp. I used it for EX Plus. There it is. Now going down to A, Noire was bait. Noire was bait. Again, the only time I used Noire was for the 100. The 100 setup with buffs. And even then, you could have really just used Neo, bro. You really could have just used Neo. She didn't really show up. Her sword didn't really show up. I think I forgot to even put her sword on here. That joint was Seeking bait. That joint was bait. So yeah, Noire. I know someone did say on Twitter that they kind of used her, but I didn't really use her. I'm gonna keep it real. Halloween Vane. Honestly, you didn't really have a lot of space for this dude. Even though his defense buff is good, I didn't have a lot of space to always put him backline. So yeah, he was kind of down here. Bubs, unironically, did not really see use. I didn't main Bubs. I didn't really have to call Bubs except like in 250. And even in 250, that was kind of like a I want to go faster type thing. It wasn't really like a I need to call Bubs here thing. So Bubs showed up, but I mean, he was not really that needed. I'm gonna keep it a stack. He was not really that needed. So yeah. Now, let's get into B tier, bro. Okay. So B tier, bro. There's a lot of dudes in B tier. There's a lot of stuff in B tier. Now, I will start off by saying not all this stuff is actually B tier. A lot of this stuff was I did not use this or I did not see it. But it should be noted. Okay? So, first of all, Petra, I saw her in like one comp. That was it. And I wasn't using it. What's her face? Ariett? Rebalance for what? I have no idea. Didn't see her at all. Completely MIA. Completely MIA. Did not see this character. Regular Grimnir? Did not see him. Did not see him. Randall? I did see a lot of people pick him up for 250. I'd never used Randall, but I do realize that he was good for a lot of people. So Randall is on the list. Shion, I saw a few people use her. I don't have Shion, so I never tried her. For 250. Friday, I know a lot of people on Friday used Friday for various setups. I never used it because I didn't feel like swapping. So Friday is here just to be noted. Mirren, I heard was God tier. Congratulations, DY, on your cheeking 3% spark, bro. You had the foresight, the Wind Lord foresight to pick up Mirren. She was supposed to be really good in 250, and I heard she was very good. People that had her enjoyed her. I did not have this character though, so I never tried her. Vane, regular Vane, almost completely MIA. I saw one comp on the last day that full autoed with the normal Vane. Besides that, nobody was using this dude. I gotta bring up Teaking Medusa, bro. Medusa, I owe you an apology. I was not familiar with your game. At least you got used, bro. At least Medusa got used. Vane, literally bait, bro. Bait. baked. This character, bait used to be believable, to be honest, because we already knew this character looked like garbage, but then he showed up like garbage too, in the sense that he didn't show up. He was in the trash can all Tekken Guild War, bro. Completely MIA. Completely MIA. 98% MIA. What's her face? I literally don't even know what this chick's name is. I don't know what this chick's name is. But she was there to die. She was there to die. There were a lot of people in 250 that were there to die. It was her. It was Christmas Antheria. It was Fire Anila. A lot of people were brought into 250 to die to bring in Katz. This was the chick I used. I probably should have used Anila, but I literally did not feel like swapping because I only did 250 for one day. So yeah, but I used her. But I mean, she's literally down here because she's not even a freaking wind character. Quillen, unironically, did not use the summon. This is like, I think this is like the first Guild War in a while that I did not use Quillen like at all. I think I tried for like 200. But that 200 setup that I had prepared didn't work, so I just never used Quillen. Summer Tiamat, I know people definitely got their use out of this, but with the combination of, you know, getting my Anila to triple attack and Seruel to give me the Veil, I was able to make up Summer Tiamat not being there. So even though the summon is good, and I know people got a lot of mileage out of it, I did not. So she's down in B tier, but I need to note her. Grimnir Summon, I know a lot of people use this for 250, you know, mashing and stuff like that. I don't really know what it was for because I never actually started mashing, but people did use this summon. I just did not, but again, I'm noting it. Demon Bream and Summer Rosetta, again, I never actually did any burst, like manual burst, that required either one of these. So I'm noting them because I know people use them, but I never did. So yeah, they're down in B tier. Sky Ace, very popular option for Ogi in 250. I did not have Sky Ace barred, and I was not going to bar it for 250, so I didn't use it. But I know it was a very popular option. I even saw setups that were using two of these. So it was good for that. I don't know if I bar them unless you're a Wind Lord now, because the Guild War's over, but it was good for that. Evanescence, I saw multiple double Evanescence setups for things like 100 and 150. I did not take the bait. I did not bar those. I did not use them. So I was okay with what I was doing. Swan, the big one. Swan, unironically, people were using for EX Plus, 90, 100, 150, 200, especially 200. I did see a lot of Swan 200s. And towards the end, it did start to slip into 250 mashing as well. Swan, I feel like if you barred Swan, it was a pretty good use of bars if you were trying to go hard on the Guild War. I was not, so again, I did not take the bait, I did not bar it, I did not use the weapon. But the weapon did see a lot of use across the board. So definitely very good weapon for this Guild War. Its use going forward, I'm not so sure, because in the actual game, I do not see nearly as much use as the Guild War because of how it operates. The Guild War was very made for Swan. But nevertheless, where this is a Guild War tier list, so it was very good for that. But again, I didn't use it, so it's in B tier. Galleon weapon, pretty good skill option. Also, I don't have taking the LER beak on here. LER beak would be like, I don't know, like S plus tier, I guess. But Galleon weapon was like the premier, the premium LER beak. If you had it, you used it. Again, I did not take the bait. I did not bar these. I've seen, you know, up to two of these. I didn't do it. I didn't take it. But it's a skill damage. It's like World Ender, you know, that type of weapon. Didn't use it. This weapon. Didn't use this joint either. I know a lot of people use this for like EX Plus or 90. I never use it. I never use it. I did not need this weapon, so it's down here. Still pretty good for if you're trying to do Glorybringer stuff with Galleon's S1, but again, I didn't use it. As I said before, with Tiamat Gun, I did farm for EX Plus. I was planning to use it for EX Plus, and then the Siete Swords took over. And I did not use it at all. So yeah, I literally did use it the Guild War. And then last but not least, Rhomphia and Murcielago. Almost completely MIA. Almost completely MIA. I saw an EX Plus with Rhomphia, and I saw a 200 with Rhomphia. That was it. Murcielago literally completely MIA. I didn't even see a meme run with Murcielago. I did not see it anywhere. Nowhere. So these two gold weapons, pretty much MIA. Pretty much non-factors. They did not affect anything. The star of the show was definitely Swan when it comes to weapons. Definitely Swan. So, yeah. That's pretty much it for this tier list. I know this one's kind of quick because I really don't have that much to say. Like I said at the start, Win Guild War for me was very all over the place. It feels like more so Win does not have, making this tier list and thinking about making this tier list, Win does not, it almost feels like it doesn't have a solid core. It wants to do like everything. Like a little bit of everything. It doesn't have like a focus shot. It's kind of weird because I just feel like there's so many different options for so many different things. And I think that's the reason why a lot of people kind of struggled with this Guild War, because this Guild War required you to have a lot of different stuff. You couldn't just say, okay, you have one character and this one character carries you through the whole Guild War. It was like you need to have this character and this character and this character. Then you need to have Katz. You need to have Katz's S4. You need to have all this different stuff, all these different weapons. It's just like you need everything for every different type of scenario. And I think that's what made this Guild War kind of challenging for some people. And why some people dislike Win. But again, I don't have too much more to say. That's pretty much it. But yeah, so that's pretty much the roundup for Win Guild War. If I think of anything else after this, I'll put an addendum. But yeah, that's it. So thanks for watching. Thanks for the support as always, and bye-bye. Okay, very quick addendum. I'm just gonna move Katz to SS. The more I think about it, I went and did my Final Fantasy raid, dude. The more I think about it, this dude was on every team. I was thinking too much about the 250 and the fact that he could be swapped with Kaguya, but this dude is literally in every team in the back line. He should be in SS, so I'll just make another Sheeking picture, dude. Screw it. Alright, he's in SS. Everything else is the same, though, but he's in SS. Alright, bye.